Welcome everyone to this one session mini podcast. Thank you for listening. Today we have prepared a thoughtful conversation about our upcoming paper, potentially titled Discursive Positionings and Professional Responsibility. How do teacher educators construct relationships and agency in Chilean English language teacher education? My name is Jimena Ibaceta Quijanes, a Chilean teacher of English who is also interested in researching how future teachers of English develop their identity and sense of responsibility.
Hello to all of our listeners. My name is Claudio Vasquez. I am an EFL teacher educator and a PhD in education student. To start our conversation, Jimena, could you please tell us a little bit about this study?
Sure. Well, this study takes place in the Fondesit project of Dr. Malva Barahona, where different angles of language teacher agency have been explored. For this study, eight language teacher educators from two Chilean universities participated, and the participants were part of an online interview, and they also completed narrative frames with prompts that we gave them based on Cahiers narrative frames. The questions in the interviews explore teacher educators' experiences in their teaching context and also what they consider to be responsible characteristics of teachers and how they addressed and tackled professional responsibility in the courses that they taught. And through the narrative frames, we wanted to understand how teacher educators identically position themselves in regards to reservist teachers and the program where they taught.
Thank you, Jimena, for providing context for our conversation. Malva, you and I have been working really hard on this study, but also the two guests we're going to present right now. These two very important guests will help us delve into the results of our study.
Yes, our first guest is Carla Lobos. Carla is an English teacher and master in education. She has also worked as a teacher educator, teaching methodology and universal design for learning courses. And she's currently a doctoral candidate from the PhD in Education program at Universidad Católica.
We also have Juan Cavies with us. Juan is a linguist and English teacher. He's a second year student at the PhD in Education program at Universidad Católica de Chile. We have been working on this study for some time now, and we have gone through extensive analysis processes. Jimena, you mentioned the instrument we used for collecting data. Could you please tell our listeners how we approached the analysis of the interviews and narratives?
Of course. This time, we coded both the narratives and the interviews of each participant through a deductive analysis process using Cahiers types of positioning based on positioning theory, as well as a discursive analysis toolkit that we developed on previous studies based on Martin's grammar of agency. And through this process, we were able to identify from which positions language teacher educators express their thoughts and share their experiences, and also to identify how identical teacher educators were within their context. And well, the three of you, Carla, Claudia, and Juan, had an active role in analyzing and writing about what you found about each teacher educator. So, Carla, could you please share with us how the teacher educators position themselves in relation to their pre-service teachers' learning and their role in teacher education?
Sure. The self-positioning that we found among teacher educators vary, ranging from expert role models to facilitators and duty-driven educators. Some teacher educators see themselves as transformative agents, while others focus on practical skill development. The use of I reflects the degree of agency. So we found explicit I that indicated strong ownership and confidence in some of their descriptions, in some of their narratives and interviews. And sometimes we also found implicit I that suggested a more detached approach. Many educators recognize their role as models and they try to demonstrate this along the interview, saying that they use effective teaching practices and try to foster professional growth. And some others, teacher educators, try to build personal personal connections with preservist emotional support. So for some of them, emotional well-being is very important.
That's very interesting, Carla. And now taking the point of view of pre-service teachers, Claudio, could you tell us how do teacher educators position pre-service teachers in terms of their learning expectations, responsibilities, and rights?
Yes, of course. Out of the elements that we found, the distinction between implicit and explicit positioning is the one that can help us understand how teacher educators see their roles, whether they focus on fulfilling assigned responsibilities or confidently shaping their professional identities and teaching practices. What unites all of these eight teacher educators is their shared dedication to reflection, critical thinking, and social awareness. Some educators highlight the importance of continuous self assessment and growth as an essential part of their work. Many others, however, prioritize instead teaching approaches that encourage pre service teachers to think critically about their environments and consider the wider social impact of education. This shared commitment reinforces the idea that teacher education is not just about learning technical skills, but also about fostering ethical and transformative practices that can consequently equip pre service teachers to navigate and respond to complex educational and societal challenges.
Thank you, Claudio. So we have explored the positions of teacher educators and how do they position pre-service teachers. So Juan, could you share with us what are the common storylines that teacher educators use to position themselves in relation to their students and colleagues?
Right. So, as a sort of summary, right, of the previous discussion that we've had, I can say that we found three main storylines for this group of teacher educators. The first one is the teacher educator as a savant or an expert. In these storylines, right, these teacher educators share that they have the expertise and the qualifications to be models, right, for future teachers. There is a second storyline that we also found related to the teacher educator as a caregiver. And in this one, they emphasize the importance of taking care of pre-service teachers' mental health and well-being, especially as future teachers. And finally, we have a storyline that we found across all eight participants, which is that of the teacher educator as a role model. In this storyline, these teacher educators show an awareness and a commitment to pre-service teachers' education, and they lead by example also in their own teaching practices.
Thank you, Juan, Carla, and Jimena, for your thorough answers. So, we are all teacher educators. So, as such, what reflections do you have about your own teaching, about your process, for example, of positioning yourselves as teacher educators?
I think for me, it's quite interesting to see myself in some of these storylines. I feel that in a way it validates some of my teaching practices, but also invites me to rethink others based on what my colleagues do.
I 100% agree with you, Juan. I immediately connected with the idea of leaving your positioning as school teacher behind to move towards as a teacher educator one. I am also, as I said earlier in the beginning of the podcast, a teacher educator, and I try to foster critical conversations in my classroom. So I love to see that I'm not alone in this. Carla, what do you think?
As Juan said, it makes me rethink some of my teaching practices, but also, on the other hand, it showed me that I'm on the right track when trying to connect with students at an emotional level and worry about their emotional well-being.
Jimena, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's very interesting first to see how the participants of the study position themselves in different areas, in different stories when it comes to educating future teachers. And also how we reflect about our own positions as teacher educators based on what we read. It's also very interesting to see how language reveals these positions and reveals how identical we are, or maybe not. How, as Carla was saying, the use of the explicit pronoun I, how that uh, works as something that I feel very powerful, very empowered about something, while the use of implicit is a more detached point of view. So I think this is a call to reflect, to keep reflecting about our own teaching practices, and also a call to be more authentic about the decisions that we make before teaching and about our teaching actions.
Thank you, Jimena. That is a very good summary to close our conversation. That is unfortunately all the time we have. So thank you everyone for being here today. And to our listeners, we invite you to go over our website so you can find more detailed information about the project and its results. Till next time. Bye bye, everyone. Take care.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Take
Bye.
care.